I'm thinking that meditation is the biggest boring, no, like what difference could that possibly make? And I will be tortured for however long I have to sit there. And finally, I was in enough discomfort that I was willing to try meditating because my mind was going a million miles an hour. And the entire picture was one of gloom, doom, and impending disaster. That's all I could really think about at that point. I wasn't drinking, and I didn't think about drinking. I didn't think, oh my God, I'm really at risk of drinking here. What I really thought is, I am really at risk of being uncomfortable and miserable for the rest of my life. That's really what it was. It was the suffering that was there for me. And so I actually started with an app on my phone. And I started with 3 minutes, and I couldn't count 10 breaths without my mind flying away. But I kept at it and I kept at it. And I have meditated every day for the last 5 years. And I do 20 minutes a day. To me, it's like brushing my teeth. I wouldn't leave the house without doing it. I wouldn't really move on to anything without doing it. And a book I've read a lot and would strongly recommend is The Book of Joy. It is a book that is a week-long conversation between the Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And it's all about joy. And I swear it was written by somebody in recovery, but it's not. It's just not. Neither one of those guys are. And the author is not. But there are so many principles, there is so much discussion in there that really is absolutely right along our program. It is so program specific. It's just not even funny. But one of the things that the Dalai Lama says basically, and actually the author was physically present there for an entire week while having them. It was in Dharamsala. And so they all flew there, and then they just talked every day about a different topic: envy, loneliness, um, uh, um, uh, resentments, anger, all the things that are really important to us. And the author brings in research into this as well, any kind of research that really supports what's going on. So it's really an interesting combination of those things. And one of the things that was a study done that said a year later, people who win a $1 million lottery and people who are paralyzed are no different in their happiness factors. And I thought that not true. And I had done medical research in my life, and I looked the report up, and actually it is true. It is a research article. It is true, and it is in there. But this is what he says about meditation. Says the real secret of freedom may simply be extending this brief space between stimulus and response. Meditation seems to elongate this pause and help expand our ability to choose our response. And that is what I never had. I remember my sponsor saying to me one time, when you're not sure what to do, don't do anything. And I thought, that's not right. That's not right. Good Lord, I am going to do something. I am going to do something because this discomfort is not possible for me to sit through. And that whole phrase of pause when agitated was as far an ability of for me, even at 10 years sober. And what I couldn't pause, I could pause my behavior, but I couldn't pause my thought. That's what was really killing me with this whole process at about 10 years. And so meditation really allowed me to take a pause. I remember when I was working early, I was working as a research nurse, and I shared an office with 4 other nurses, and our chairs bumped when we moved. It was so small, and I remember this gal was sitting next to me, and she was on the phone, and it was old phone, held to her hand like this, and she was talking. She said yes, and she said, "Hold on a minute." And she put her hand over the mouthpiece on the phone, and she just sat there for a second. And then she said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And I thought, oh my God, you can do that? You can stop in the middle of a conversation and think for a second before you respond. What? That is a possibility. And that's what meditation gave me. It gave me that internal ability to stop my thought for a second and really give me that spaciousness. I did not understand that term, that spaciousness of mind, where I had a moment. I had a moment, and it changed my ability to deal with adversity, suffering, love, my children, my husband, everybody. It changed my ability to do that. And so that period in my sobriety, I still did service work. I was still sponsoring people. I was still being sponsored. I was still actively involved in everything that was going on with all of that. I spent a lot of time talking with my sponsor about my husband because I was very concerned about our relationship being really intact. I remember early in sobriety, I was talking to my sponsor about something my husband had done, and it was one of those things where you make the phone call, and she's going to sympathize with this. She's going to tell me, you poor mistreated person, and I remember calling her up and saying, well, he said this and he did that, and she said, yes, which is always how she responds to me. Always, every time she goes, yes, and she goes, very quietly, she goes, now let's look at your behavior. And I remember thinking, really? Even now. But she was really helpful during that time, where she really spent a lot of time with me, asking exactly all the right questions and really helping me to feel very supported during that time, and loved and cared for and redirected back to my program. And I use the fourth step. And when I say I use the fourth step, what I mean is I have a notebook. I have a best friend who, if I die, is going to come and burn the notebook before I get to the funeral home. And, she knows which one it is and what it looks like and all that. But I do write out 3 columns. I write out the prayer. I say the prayer for a couple of days, and I work on my mistakes column. And I probably do that once a week, once every other week. I use that fourth step. I write it out. I try and think it through in my head. And if I have one conversation with my sponsor, she's going to say, did you write it out? Did you write that out? And I always get a completely different response for me when I actually write it out. Writing it out is magic. It is magic. It changes the way that I use that fourth step. And now the problem, of course, with that fourth step is I come exactly to my shortcomings on all of that, and then I'm dumped into 6 and 7. When I was really early in sobriety, there was a girl who probably had about 12 years, who her name was Lisa also, and she used to sit 2 rows behind me at our home group, because our home group, we tend to all sit in the same seat, even though it's a great big home group. But and she'd come in and she'd come to meetings and she'd hardly ever say anything. And one day she said in a meeting, she said, if you ask old timers what step they're working on, it's always 6 and 7. And I remember thinking, that's not right. It's 10, 11, 12. And the longer I'm in sobriety, the longer I realize that fourth step dumps me right into 6 and 7. And it dumps me right into those shortcomings that drag me back into ego and into all the problems that I have, all of the things that come to me that are suffering of any kind are usually because of those shortcomings that are there, that have been there from the beginning. I act on them a whole lot less than I ever have acted on them. I recognize them earlier. I take responsibility, but I still fall into that. And I don't feel like an AA failure because that happens. I feel like a human who needs AA because that happens. And So that has been really important to me. You know, my family life is really important to me, and my youngest daughter is in recovery for eating disorder, and I'm happy to say she's, you know, she has tough days, but she has a whole team, and she works her program really well, and she does a really good job with that. My older daughter has is not an alcoholic, and but has grown up with AA and is frequently the person who will call me and say, "Now, such and such is going on. What would the big book say about that?" And you know, she has all the phrases down. She uses them all the time. She'll call me and say, "My dark past, you know, was my greatest asset today," or you know, whatever it is that's going on with that. And family has been very important to me during this because it's always the hardest place for me to work my program. The longer I'm in AA, family is the hardest place for me to work my program. And that continues to be the case. I have 91 and 92-year-old parents who are as challenging for me right now as my children have ever been. And the ability of me to be kind and patient and tolerant is absolutely dragged to the extreme every time I'm around them. And at this point, if I leave without owing an amends, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do at that point. And so the other thing that I wanted to say that has been really fun for me is because I have a husband who's in recovery. We have been involved in a couples recovery dinner for actually we were talking about it's been 6 years now. So it happened right before all of this happened, and we were invited to be in it. It's a couples group where all the couples are one person is Al-Anon and one person is AA. I'm the only girl AA in the group. I'm everybody else is an Al-Anon woman and an AA man. And we meet once a month. Now we of course do it on Zoom, but we used to do it at everybody's house, and we pick topics and we read something out of each literature. And the ability to meet in a forum like that with people who are really invested in their recovery and are really invested in using it in a way to improve their lives in very practical, very specific ways, and to share experience, strength, and hope about that has been so fun. And I mean, it's just been incredible. My husband calls it a meeting. I can't call it a meeting. There's a bunch of Al-Anons in there and we read Al-Anon stuff. So that is not an AA meeting as far as I'm concerned. But it is a really fun recovery experience for me. And it's been, you know, it's been hard in some ways. The first year we were together, um, one of the one of the people in our group overdosed and died. And so it has been really an incredible journey as we have gone through that process. But it has been so fun to have a group of people who are so invested in really working a program well and using it in a way where you can say, here's what I did with my program. I was in a hole and I was getting ready to take it out on somebody else, and here's what I did about it. And it's just been a really fun experience to do that, and changed my program. You know, adding those few things in and changing how I've done things has really made a difference with me. I've always said willingness is probably the most important quality that I've ever had in AA. And it's interesting because my willingness has changed over time about what I'm willing to do. At first, I was willing to walk into a meeting and that's it. You know, and today I'm willing to do a whole lot more than that in order to really stay on the beam. And it takes a lot of work for me to be able to do that. I do a lot of work around spirituality that is outside of AA. That is also really important to me. I spend a lot of time doing that. I teach a book class that is not a part of AA, that we do religious and spiritual books. By crazy accident, there are 3 people in that group. There are 18 women that are in it. There are 3 who are in AA. And the other people in the program don't know they're in AA. So it's been very interesting to sort of be in that process of doing it. So I think that might be about all that I was going to say, Sam, unless you instruct me to do otherwise.
I think that was beautiful, Lisa. Thank you so much. Thank you. So the way that we do this is we'll let you look on this kind of Hollywood Squares thing and pick a couple people to share, and then we'll open it up. So, and if you don't know anybody, you can just call out somebody you think's, you know, attractive or funny looking, or might have had a connection with over the thing, you know, just reach out and touch somebody. Somebody might look interesting.
Well, I would say first, is there anybody who would like to speak?
Don't feel offended. Nobody ever speaks after that. Everybody is just kind of absorbing it. So you just got to thump somebody.
Yeah. No, I've chaired too many meetings. You give a topic and then there's silence, and it's all about me then. You know, it wasn't a good topic. I didn't pick the right thing, you know? So yeah. So yeah. Hi. Hey there, Kimberly Mance. How are you?
Oh, there we go.
She'll get it rolling. Good. Lisa, first of all, thank you so much to unpack in what you just shared. I think when I first came to Backroom Group and learned a little bit about your story and know you, I do know you. You're one of my angel women that, thank God you saved my caboose. Thank God you saved my caboose. You know, the part about your daughter, and I have a similar situation, and that, you know, to talk about how we all do try to manage, even with long sobriety, even when we go through these pieces. I think the best part about what I heard take away tonight was that meditation piece, which, you know, I've just started incorporating heavily this year. It used to be something that I would, as you said, whoever thinks they could do that. And I did start with the app. I think maybe it was your suggestion, actually. But the idea that little by little we develop that space, that piece where we can allow the spirit in, that, you know, yeah, the laundry, the folding, the lunch, the grocery. I too thought that was the only way about it. But letting in that little bit of peace, you know, I call that God. And that God discussion that you reminded me of is imperative if I'm not going to fall off the beam. And I really like the description or the definition of on the beam as you've described it. I too never even thought of that. The aviation analogy, I mean, well, you clearly said it was the definition. I too thought of it in the ways that you had, and the connection between performance and just placement was really, it's new to me. And I'm really grateful that you brought that up. You know, not that I'm performing for others as much as I'm performing for myself, or I feel God wants me to perform. And then I get so caught up in that am I doing it right program that I get messed up and all upside down in my own thinking, which of course leads me to where I shouldn't be thinking. And so part of that, what you just shared, is a real big takeaway from me tonight. And I'm really grateful for that. And again, thank you for saving my caboose. But tonight you saved my caboose a lot, because that on the beam piece, so new, so innovative. Really, I appreciated all you shared. And that's really all I wanted to thank you for that. Thanks. Everybody.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks to see you.
All right, one more and then we'll open it up. Oh, Gary. What about Gary?
Gary's got his hand up.
Hey guys, I'm an alcoholic and my name is Gary. Lisa, thank you so much. And Sam, thank you for leading and bringing Lisa to us tonight. I actually I was at my first meeting at 8 this morning. And actually 7, I do a big book study group with my guys. And then I had a day where I was working, and I'm here in New York. I live in Florida. I got sober in New York. My mom is in the hospital. She's 92, and she's been a fighter. And I actually, was supposed to take her home today, and they wouldn't let me take her home because she is her kidneys are not working or something, and it's, my instinct was first, this sucks, and then I just had to like lean into being at peace, I suppose, or trusting. I've been coming around to AA since 1987. I've been in AA, not coming around. I've been in AA dedicated since 1987. And I'm coming up on an anniversary next month. And I need this program. I need Al-Anon. I'm, a double winner. I go to both programs. I used to go to Al-Anon because I would say there's an alcoholic in my life driving me crazy, and I'm it. And I found that going to Al-Anon has saved my caboose. And my Al-Anon team directed me here to this meeting tonight. That essay has been fundamental to my recovery. I mean, thinking about the emotional dependencies that have kind of cornered me into surrendering when all else was not working. Even after being in a program that has saved my life, has given me a life, I have a very rich life. I find that I still can fall into these emotional dependencies and expectations that are troublesome. They really can create a lot of havoc. And the only real dependency that has ever worked for me is one which is on a power that's loved me and cared for me for all of these many years, saved me over and over and over and over and over again. And when I first came to AA, I thought that I believed in God, but it was really that pinch hitting God that they talk about in the seventh step, that, he's more than just a Bush League pinch hitter. He's really he's an all-time cheerleader. He's basically been there for me over and over again, and for everyone else around me, and I have adult children. You talked about children, and I will tell you that has been a struggle for me, not getting mixed up in their affairs and letting my expectations fall onto their table, leaving them to do what they do. I have grandchildren. I mean, it's been like a whole new world of learning for me as my kids have grown up. And my oldest, who was 3 when I first came into sobriety, he's given me quite a bit to deal with these days. So I need AA more than I've ever needed it over all of these years. This is really, I'm like, this is where it is. This is where I come to kind of keep a peace of mind that I would never otherwise have. It's so much more than not drinking. And I'm dedicated to the program. I'm grateful to be here tonight and to be able to be participating in this group. I will come back. Thank you. It was really great to hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see what we got going on over here. What about Tom? My friend Tom Uhl.
Thanks, Sam. And Lisa, thank you so much. I got a tremendous amount out of what you had to share. And I remember you from the back room, and we've had a couple of discussions, and it was great to see you here. I'm just going to listen tonight, Sam, and but thanks for calling on me.
Okay. All right, man. What about Karen H?
Hi, I'm Karen, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Sam, for your service. And Lisa, thank you so much for your message. I don't even know where to begin. It was just so enlightening. And I just really, I'm just really grateful. And that's just it. Thank you.
What about Kurt?
Hey, everybody. Kurt, alcoholic. Thank you very much for your talk. You definitely got the juices, the intellectual juices flowing, because what you were talking about was something I was sitting here in the office for a couple hours with it. And how do I want to begin this? Because you got me going in a bunch of different directions. I was looking for the part in the book that says moral and philosophical convictions galore. You know, we have them, but we can't live up to them. And I was thinking about how conceptual understanding doesn't bring transformation. Now, but it does lead you to the door of a different understanding. And that different understanding I heard you talk about with meditation and the space that comes in. And here's how I would phrase it. I would phrase it like this, because, you know, it's hard to talk about what you talked about, but you did such a really good job with it. There was a guy that asked Ramana Maharshi one time. He said, how do we treat others? So I would say that question comes from the intellectual understanding. Now, his answer didn't. His answer was this: there are no others. See, this is that transition from conceptual understanding to a wisdom or a deeper understanding that the intellect brings you to. And I think this is what emotional sobriety is. This is stepping into the pool of emotional sobriety. And I've said this, I don't know how many times in this meeting, over that there's a really important part, I think, in Bill's letter. And it's simply this. It's the statement that he made, and it says, I suddenly realized what the problem was. That sudden realization was not a conceptual understanding. It was a revelatory insight. It was not accessible to him before that place and time. And I think that's, that is the meditative state. That is that place where there's space where, and I love the way you said this. You said it allows response rather than reaction. It allows a space enough for you to, I always tell people I sponsor, I say, look, get some popcorn, sit down and watch the show. Because usually you're too busy meddling in the show. And, that to the head, that doesn't make any sense. Or I'll say, pay attention. And then I define it. I say, look, pay attention doesn't mean think more. So I really got a lot out of what you brought to the meeting. And I'd just like to thank you again, Lisa.
Thank you, Kurt. Please raise your hand if you would like to share. Otherwise, you're just going to get picked on. What about my buddy Charles? Charles, what are you doing, man? Charles F.
Meditating.
Yeah.
Real alcoholic, Charlie. Man, that's good stuff, Lisa. And Gary, we're glad you're here, man, because I started coming here a few months ago, and it's just opened up such a wide area of recovery. And it's just, being able to meditate on this essay for, as long as I have, it's just opened up so many doors. And I have the Lord's Prayer on my wall, and when I sit here and meditate in the mornings and stuff, that's one of the things I meditate on. When he talked about, love, and he kind of spoke to me here not too long ago, is, I turned it into a prayer and said, Lord, let me love without being loved. Because everything that I've learned in getting out of self, and it's about giving up all those dependencies. I depend on people's love there and all these conditions. But I had to laugh, Lisa. I raised 3 teenagers with about 10 years sobriety, and I wish I would have had the power of pause. But my pause was like, if I catch you, I'm gonna kick your, you know, chase them around the block after they got done smoking pot in my house, But luckily, they all grew up, and I've grown up, and I don't have to chase them no more. And I just send them some money. But glad to be here as always, and good to see everybody. And
Charles, great to see your face, man. What about Penny Claire? There you go.
Hello, I'm a alcoholic. My name's Penny Claire, and oh my God, I just sit here like freaking out. Oh my God, I hope they never call me.
Here it comes.
So thank you, Lisa. I'm really glad to be here. This is a highlight of the week for me to come to this meeting. I've been coming about 3 or 4 months. I met my sponsor at this meeting. And what really resonates with me is I have 21 years of physical sobriety, but I've never had a sponsor the way that you talked about, Lisa. I've never had a sponsor that I got spiritual direction from. I used to go to meetings where they would say, pick a sponsor that has something that you want, get a sponsor that gives you the 2x4 treatment. Most of the meetings in were in my area were speaker meetings, and it's really just fellowship AA. COVID's been really good to me in that way, seeing people that are working the book. I also had a son that suffered from addiction, and that was the wake-up call that moved me from my mind to my heart. But the suffering was so intense. So my son Spencer passed on October 8th, 2014 from a fentanyl overdose. And like your daughter, Lisa, like I just couldn't reach him. And I experienced that there was no human power who could relieve my alcoholism, who could relieve my suffering. And just threw myself into the big book. And am still, after all this time, really hopeful and seeking direction with another fellow alcoholic who can help me to trust in a higher power. I too have played around with meditation. In 2001, I found mindfulness-based stress reduction, became a yoga teacher, went off on a whole trip that way. Understood that perhaps meditation was also listening to God and discovering contemplation. But still just, I think the part that is the hardest for me is to give up the control and trust another human being on my path to developing even deeper, just knowing there's a higher power that's there. Yeah, excited to be here. The depth of sharing at this meeting is so inspiring to me. My world right now is beautiful and exciting and going back to school in a sense, but I'm going to be 65 next month in April. And that's just freaking rocking me to the core about what that means. So I just am grateful to come to this meeting and to help me catch up to my physical age and whatever even that doesn't really mean. I'm kind of babbling now. Just really want to say I'm really glad to be here. And yeah, thanks for asking me. Thank you, Sam. Thanks for a great meeting.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. What about my friend Judy? I've been calling on her a lot lately. I hope she doesn't think I'm picking up. Judy, is Judy here? No, Judy?
Are you speaking to Judy Levesi?
Yes.
Oh, Well, hello, everybody. Hi. It was great to be here. Thank you so much, Lisa, for your story, an inspiring story of family stuff. And I really have been thinking a lot about how often people go from 11th step to 6th step, from 10th step to 6th step, from making amends to 6th step. It seems to be a pivotal place for a lot of us to keep going deeper and deeper into a place that maybe we can access one year and then the next year we can go somewhere deeper. But I don't think you can do it, like you were saying, as an act of will. I think these are things that often we have to do exactly as Bill, so focused on the subconscious as he was, as Bill talked about having to continually prepare ourselves to be available. And that's kind of been my experience. I cannot make an experience happen as an act of will. I can't just understand it and have knowledge. I have to show up in a way that invites the spirit in, that invites this kind of growth, that invites me to participate in my own recovery. And this whole idea of emotional sobriety and this attempt to find a place of comfort, that is a comfort that rests itself in a spiritual life. That's a whole different thing than I knew was even possible when I arrived here. I would not even have known what those words meant when I got here. And I think over a long period of time, as others have said, over a longer period of time, it mutates and it changes what that means. And it means, I think anybody who's here saying, I've got 25 years like Lisa did of successful marriage, those are really big statements for a bunch of people like us. And marriage is a real test of sobriety. Marriage is a real test of balance. And I think that it happens to the level that I can stand it to happen and I become available to become a deeper, richer, more spiritual person, more spiritually available, which becomes my prayer almost every morning now. Heal me that I can help others. Heal me that I can be of service. Heal me and use me as a tool. Use me as your vehicle. And that is nothing that I came in here with a desire for. But little by little, life presents the challenge. You've heard that analogy. It was one that Don used to use where he would talk about the pottery reel as a metaphor. And God is the potter and life is the wheel and us is the willing block of clay, being molded and changed by the sculptor's hands and by the turn of the wheel and that wheel of life. And I think those things combine, which is why this is such a rich meeting for so many of us. I get a great deal of nourishment and thoughtfulness from it. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you. What about Kathy P. from Boulder?
Hi, Sam. Thank you for calling on me. I'm Kathy. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Judy. I love you, Judy. It's good to see you. Oh my gosh, that image. I was just thinking there were a few of us that at 6 a.m. on Tuesday mornings in the cold, snowy winter of Colorado at I-25 in Kipling, Don Fritz would get up early. Men like to get up early, and we would sit at this little kind of dicey. I don't know if it's dicey. It's just a rundown motel, and we'd drink cheap coffee, and we'd go through the book word by word, page by page, and have a spiritual awakening. And that was extremely meaningful. This is my second time being here. Thank you, Maggie. She's in this room somewhere, a friend of mine who suggested I come here. Juanita and Tom, I love you both. Good to see you. I see my friend Liz H. from Philly in the meeting. So it's a pleasure to be here. Holy smokes. thank you, Lisa, for sharing on the beam. I don't know that I ever looked that up and knew what that meant, but I'm just going to ride that one. Jeez. Um, so, Judy, I love that image of being molded. I'm having some challenges in my life, and almost 30 years of sobriety. On April 13th, I'll have 30 years sober. And Judy was my first sponsor and walked me through the first part of the program. And I had an awakening. Then a whole bunch of things happened in life, and more stuff happened. And I kept getting molded, and I kept getting molded, and I kept getting molded. And I learned that I couldn't think my way into an experience. I had to have my way into an experience. On February 16th, I was out for a few hours in the morning. It'd been really cold here in Colorado, sub-zero temperatures, too. My house was flooded. And it's a big problem. I can't live there. So fortunately, I have a beautiful home from a friend of mine who's she and her wife have a mountain home, and they're living there extra for a couple months. So I get to live in a beautiful home. I'm falling to the arms of my AA community who are loving me and giving me food coupons and stuff places. And simultaneously, my relationship of 16 years is ending. And so I got that one too. And here's the thing, my foundation is not rocked. Actually, it isn't. I'm anchored in God. I'm molded by God. I turn to God. No one in my life. And who knew that I could stand tall? Years ago, my native roots, a person who was very meaningful to me. A lot of people know him, very meaningful to me. And he told me of the story of the willow tree, and all of the things that happen in life. Your roots get deeper and stronger. And my roots are deeper and stronger because of the way that my clay is being molded. Early in sobriety, this would take me down, like take me down. Like, why bother? Like, truly, why bother when it seems like everything in life is falling apart? But you know what? It's not falling apart. I've learned to have perspective. I have some challenges. And I started this prayer some years ago, and Tom was so significant. Tom Mule was so significant in my sobriety when I had my brain injury. And one of them, I'll tell that story. I always tell that story when Tom's in the room. And I was like all suffering with something or another. And it's like, Tom, I was going to tell him my sad story. And he said, and he'd listen, kind of like he's doing right now. It's going to, scratch his face a little bit and rock back and forth and listen. And he said, well, you know what's going on. And I was like, no, I don't know what's going on. He said, you're having spiritual experience. I go, okay. And you know what the spiritual experience is? Like, no, I don't. It's like perseverance. It's like, I'm having a spiritual experience of perseverance. Huh. And then he said, you know what you're supposed to do? And I said, no, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And he said, you're supposed to persevere. That was rocked my world. So I didn't know that. And it's one day at a time. It's 1 foot at a time. It's 1 foot in front of the other. When I first got sober, I heard this analogy of like a miner's cap with a light, and it only shines a light right the next step. All I need to know is the next step. I don't know what's going to happen in my life. I imagine my house is going to get put back together. I imagine my former partner and I will split up the stuff. I don't honestly know. I really don't. But what I know, and the prayer that I've been saying for many years after my brain injury and this extraordinary spiritual awakening I had as a result of that, is whatever you want for me, God, is what I want for me, whatever that is. So apparently, I molded again to have another experience. And I don't say, oh my God, God, why did you do this to me? That wasn't my first thought. I was like, all right, this will take some work. All right, I'm going to tell people what's going on. I'm going to get support. I'm going to ask for help. And I'm actually going to accept the help that I'm asking for. I feel loved. I feel cared for. I feel well fed. Keep the Grubhub gift certificates coming. I feel my roots are growing deeper into the earth, and my arms and my branches are rising higher to the sky. And I'm all good. Thank you for listening. Good to see you all.
Thank you so much. What about Veronica?
Hey, Sam, thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica and I'm an alcoholic. Lisa, really good share. Lots of meaty stuff in there. I also, got the intellectual sparks going, but back to, meditation. I want to say thank you for a couple of things. One of them is meditation. You know, for about a month ago, I decided, and I got 4 years sobriety, right? But I thought, I've been hearing about this meditation thing. I think I should start meditating. You know, so someone says, look, just start with 2 or 3 minutes. So I set the timer and I do 3 minutes. I'm like, that's a piece of cake. So then I set 10 minutes and managed the 10 minutes. Then I made the error of doing meditation in the morning at 10 minutes. Oh, dear mother of God, the calamity that's going on in my head early in the morning. So my point actually is that I'm going to go back to 3 minutes and just do the 3 minutes. But one of the things that that came to me as I was basically petulantly, you know, saying to God, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to do it. This is before I started. You know, I don't want to do it. I don't like it. Like, what for? What am I doing? You know, like, all right, God, you know, all right, I'm going to start meditating. And the voice says to me, Veronica, meditation isn't for you. It's for me, because that's how I can talk to you. And I went, all righty then. Well, there it was, loud and clear. So anyway, first thing, I'm going to go back to the 3 minutes. I also love the beam. That never occurred to me. I am a person that thinks, you know, it's because like that balance beam, you know, I have to stay on that beam and it's a performance and people are watching. When I stumble, when I get back on the beam, and believe you me, nobody's watching me as much as I'm watching me. Maybe God, but that's about it. So I love that. I also really, there was another thing that I'd written down. You said, I'm not a failure because XYZ happened. I'm a person who needs AA because XYZ happened. And I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna use that frequently. It's that's a real gem. Look, that's really all I wanted to say. I just wanted to say thank you so much. You've mentioned some things tonight that I'll be able to, you know, bring into my way of being. And I'm going to go back to 3 minutes, 3 minutes of meditation until whenever. I don't know when. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks, Veronica.
What about David Hinman? My man David from New York. What are you doing up there, buddy? There you go.
Well, I never thought I'd get called on at this meeting. Dave, alcoholic. Really enjoyed this, piece of the talk, especially the combination of your Al-Anon AA relationship and so on. And a couple things I had to say there struck home very solidly, and the importance of the two. I have a Al-Anon wife, and I'm the AA husband, and it seems as though our relationship is going through a transformation. Rocky, but it's transforming and moving day by day, and so on and so forth. And you talk about the meditation, being able to stop and think in a conversation. I wish I had that trait yet. I haven't been in the program long enough to really hold that. Had a few items this week where I actually had to call people back up later on, saying, I'm sorry, I was a little off the beam, so to speak, on that one. But anyways, thanks for calling on me, Sam. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate it very much.
Hey, no problem. I believe we have Belinda has her hand up. Belinda and Caroline.
I do. I'm Belinda. I'm not calling it.
Hey, Belinda.
Belinda.
And first of all, before I get to Lisa, let's say, you said, and suddenly I realized that after last week, and then when you said it that way today, it was like reminded me of Niagara Falls, step by step, inch by inch. But you have to be a Stooges fan. Know that one. But I just want to say, Lisa, I feel like I was being bounced between being, and I probably had at least 10 people in the last 2 days, or even from last night, tell me that I needed to rest. I was worn out. I need to rest. I need to just stop. But I can't stop. There's too much to do, and there's, I just can't do it. And there is a lot to do, but it's coming to a point that I can't do it, and realizing I can't do it, and I think enough people have told me that, and listening to Lisa tonight, I do have to stop. And part of it is a lot. There is a lot to do, and part of it's because avoiding the reality and discovering who I really am. It's been part of a team for a long time, and like for 46 and a half years, and so it's been almost 10 years that we got sober together, and always said we had a separate program, but now I'm realizing it wasn't quite as separate as I thought. We did have our own meetings. We didn't discuss the program that much, except when there was, something probably should have gone to the sponsor about, but it was more off the cuff, like, what do you think about that? And it's just different because now I have to pray about that. I have to think about that. I have to ask somebody else about that. So there was just so many things going through my head when you were talking. And, but I think, and the meditation part, which I loved and I was really regular at, I've just lost it. And mainly because I left the house and I've been back, I left, I came back for a week and left again. And now I've been 2 weeks. And it's starting to hit. But, okay. So it's going to be really having to get into the program.
Thank you, Belinda. Love you. Penny Claire, thank you so much for your share tonight. That was beautiful. And I'm so sorry for the loss of your son. But I really appreciate you coming here and I really enjoyed your share. And Lisa, we have a few more minutes. And sometimes when people share and you think, well, I want to add this into it. Now's that time. This is the, I might've forgotten something. So now I'm going to just lay it out there. You have anything else you'd like to comment or anything that's come up for you while we've
Yeah, wow. It was so nice to hear from everybody. Thanks for all of those shares. That's incredible. And, we just never know who's suffering and lost somebody. Belinda, I'm so glad to see you here, and we all miss Bob so much. And, this is just a tough time. This is really a hard and difficult time. I was thinking about several things. One, Sam, you asked me to do a book list of books that, you said, what's on your bookshelf, I think is what you had asked me to look at. And actually I started looking at what I've read this year. And of course, being pandemic, I've read a lot. And there were some that really stood out. And I just wanted to say that I just finished Adam Grant's Think Again, which is a fantastic book. If you have not read it, he's an organizational psychologist, and he really talks about why you believe or think what you know and believe and know, academically as well. It's very, very interesting book. And another one that was, I think, from 2020, one of my favorite writers is Anne Lamott, and she wrote a book, Traveling Mercies, Some Thoughts on Faith. And she is one of us. She's a recovering addict and a ordained Episcopal minister, and she's hilarious. She's just irreverent and like the person that is going to be on another screen in your meeting. So she's really kind of fun. And then another one, I had a couple of sponsees who were really having a hard time with the, with the thinking about, I'm not sure about God. I'm just not sure about God. And people with some time who really were saying that to me. And I read another one of my favorite writers is Renita Weems. And she wrote a book, Listening for God, A Minister's Journey Through Silence and Doubt. And it's also it's a really good read when you really are going through that dark night of the soul and you need to feel like you're not wrong, you're not damaged, you are not all of those kind of things. But, through all the experience that I had with my daughter, I really felt held captive by all of that. And right about that time, as she was kind of rounding the corner is when I started reading this book of joy. And I wanted to read just one little section out of it that he's talking about. And, these two guys are very interesting because, of course, Tutu went through all the South Africa. He did the reconciliation work in South Africa, and which was, months-long project where people who had families of people who had been killed and the people who had killed them came together to talk about what was going on. He talks a lot about that. And of course, the Dalai Lama, who escaped Tibet dressed as a guard, decades ago, and became sought asylum in India, which is where he is right now. Of course, they've never been allowed to go back to Tibet, but it was a very grueling, difficult time where a lot of people were murdered and hurt. And he's talking in here, the Dalai Lama is talking about, it's in the chapter called Acceptance, the Only Place. And he talks about let me find it. I think it's here. No, it's here. Oh, I've lost it. Sorry. All right, I'll just tell it. Okay, so he talks about the night that they leave and he's dressed as a guard. He speaks with one of the Buddhist monks, and they know they're going to be separated as they're leaving and escaping in the middle of the night. And so while all of that was going on, 137 of them were taken captive and they were held in Tibet. And this monk was held there for 18 years. And he says he had no shoes. It was freezing. They were so hungry that they tried eating another prisoner who had died, but his body was too frozen to eat, that when you spit, that it landed as ice, that it was so cold. And he was tortured regularly through that 18 years. And when he finally was released and he met with the Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama said, this must have been very difficult. And he says, yes, there were many times I was in danger. And the Dalai Lama said, I'm sure, you were worried about being killed. And he said, no, I was in danger of losing compassion for my guards. And the ability to be compassionate in absolutely every circumstance, even when I feel like I am the one suffering, is really the goal for me at this point, because I get so trapped in my own suffering and what's going on with me, that's what creates all of my shortcomings flare. I mistreat other people. I do things that I have to make amends for, rather than being able to have compassion even in the midst of that circumstance. So that's all I have. And thanks again, Sam, for asking me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Holy shit. That was good. That was a fun meeting, huh? Yeah. Thanks for coming. And just throwing a little profanity when everybody else didn't, it's kind of Liven up. Hey, so the way we close this, Lisa, is we mute ourselves and we go to our inner room and we say the Lord's Prayer. Thank you for these wonderful books. Thank you for a great meeting. Thank everyone for, really got a really good heart connection with all of you guys. I love you very much. So let's just close it and we'll say Lord's Prayer to ourselves. Amen. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks.
Thank you for a great meeting, Lisa.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sam.
Sam.
Great meeting.
Thanks.
Good night,
Lisa.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stay well.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was great being with you all tonight.
Thank you for sharing, Gary.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. That was great. And thanks again, Sam, for leading, and everyone else has shared. Really, really good to hear you all.
It was so great to hear you, Lisa. Really loved it.
Be safe, everyone.
A great format, Sam. You've done a good job on it.
Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon. I'm gonna get all those books.
They're all good.
Thank you. All right,
Hey,
we'll
Tom.
talk soon. See you guys.
Are you approaching 1 year of this, Sam?
I think we are.
Yeah, close. Yeah.
I think we'll be there in probably 3 or 4 more, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's been a great program. Thank you. See everybody later.
Kurt, that was good. I loved what you said too.
Thanks, Corey. Great meeting. I mean, really
I've been in it since it was in Sam's basement.
Oh, really?
Before we even went online.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad you guys brought it out of the basement.
Yeah, we've been doing it on the bottom floor of Sam's house,
Yeah.
just locked in a cave, basically. 6 or 7 of us, and we'll read that every week. And we did that for probably 8 weeks before we got put on Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom.
And then we opened it up to women in the summer.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
Linda could come and we could hear her wonderful things too.
It was good to hear you, Judy. Yeah, I think yeah. What's up, Clint?
Yeah, hi, Clint. Hi, Linda. Is Linda back there?
Corey, where are you at?
I'm in Nashville. I work with Sam. And not only do I work with Sam, but I work 6 feet from him as well at work.
Oh, my.
So I have the distinct pleasure of being with my sponsor and friend all day.
I don't know how that can be a blessing and a curse, you know.
Oh, it's fantastic. No, I love every second of it. I wouldn't trade any moment for the world.
That's great. Yeah. It's a
Kurt,
rich
how's it
meeting.
how's it going in Los Angeles? Are you guys able to leave the house yet?
We got our second shots.
We both got back. Yeah, we're both done. So
my
parents. I mean, we've been doing okay. You know, we're still, you know, they're slowly opening up here, but you know, everybody's being careful. That's the main thing. We were both sick after that second shot, though. Boy, it was like terrible. We were really sick.
Oh,
The
really?
the first one wasn't a big deal, you know, sore arm, kind of a little tired. But that second one, Linda had it on Friday, and then she was down all day Saturday, like the flu. And then I had
down,
it on
but not
Saturday.
out.
No, you just feel like you have the flu. You know, you got headaches and body aches, and yeah. So I'm glad we did it on different days.
Yeah.
Because she was down Saturday, and then I was down
So
Sunday.
she took care of you and you took care of her.
Well, kind of. She took care of me, all right. No, I took care of you, didn't I? Yeah. See you,
Good night, Judy.
Good to see you. It's
See you,
lovely
Sharon.
to see my friends on this. Thanks for being
We're
there.
glad we're still doing it.
Hi,
Thank-
peeking your head in there.
There she is.
Hi, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Clint,
night.
we're getting
night,
down
Corey.
there sooner. We're gonna see you pretty soon.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in September. Don't
Yep,
forget
for
those
sure.
dates.
Nope, we're looking forward to it, buddy.
Okay, good deal. We're cranking up. Summer Serenity on the beach.
Good deal.
Yeah. so,
Maybe. She's like, maybe.
that's
Which little conference are you guys chit chatting about?
It's called
Summer Serenity.
down in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida.
Sam and I were thinking about going to I want to go to the one with Sam in Colorado this year.
Mhm. Yeah, they're
That I
going to
heard
have
is
that one.
happening.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep, that's what they
So I'm
said.
excited about that. Where's that one in?
Estes Park, isn't it, in Colorado?
Yeah.
The one you guys are going to.
Oh.
Well, the one we just talked about, Corey, is it's at Sandestin Beach Hilton. It's actually considered Miramar Beach, Florida, but it's on the panhandle of
It must
Florida.
be good if Kurt and Linda are coming that far.
No, it's good. That's why we're going.
Yeah, it's good. Kurt and Linda are both speaking.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking about the one in Colorado. They're definitely having thoughts, but I don't know where they're having it this year. I think they left Estes Park.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, I think they
Oh,
left.
wow. Oh, I thought I guess I'm wrong. I thought I heard Estes Park.
Yeah, I heard that they were doing it. I heard that you could go ahead and book tickets, is what I heard Dawn saying. That's what I thought.
Yeah, in May. They're going to start registration in May. So that's what the email said, just in case something changed as far as, it getting worse or whatever. But yeah.
Kurt, when you talk about Bob O, are you talking about Bob Overton?
No.
Bob
No,
Olson.
when?
Olson?
Yeah. No, what are you talking about in regards to?
No, I've just heard you talk about Bob O, and I can't never tell if you were talking about Bob Olson or
Yeah.
Bob Overton.
Well, if I was talking about a Bob O, it'd be Bob Olson. Yeah.
I know an older gentleman that's been to FOTS, and he works at a Discovery place out here.
Yeah.
Named Bob Overton, who's been sober 40-something years, but
yeah,
I love him to death too.
Yeah. Well, it's really nice that I just like the depth of this meeting. I really enjoy the depth.
I'm really glad that Sam brought me some tapes one time to work, and I listened to those. Might have been a FOTS conference a couple of years ago, and then he was planning on going to the one last year before they canceled it.
Well, we were booked to go to FOTS South in at Bobby Bouchard's at the Louisiana when the COVID hit, and then then they canceled it. Like, we canceled our trip, and a week later they canceled. That's when it all started.
I'm looking forward to getting together and going to some ones this summer. Hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get back out there. Yeah.
We've been hosting small in-person meetings at work in the mornings before we go to work.
Well, they're fine. They're opening up a little bit here. Like, we have there's a beach meeting on Sunday on the beach. That used to be like 30 people. Now it's like 100 because,
That's awesome though.
Yeah. It's down on the beach, but you really can't hear anybody because, you got the waves crashing in the background, but they're opening up. Some of the places are opening up. Who was the guy that just passed? He was from California. He was a long time sober. He was Bob Bazance used to do retreats with him. I can't think of his name. No. He was part of
Howard.
Yeah, Howard started out here a long time ago, the Marina Center. Now they've opened that up, and it's all young people, but 11 o'clock on a Friday night, there's The place is packed. It's like COVID central. I mean, nobody wears a mask. It's just totally crazy. So I've got some friends that go to that, but they've been vaccinated and stuff. But there's a few places opening up, but most of them are still Zoom.
I wouldn't go to a
I wouldn't
100%
either.
meeting.
No, I wouldn't either, especially in a little, room like that. It's and plus it's, I mean, it's a young people's crowd, so it gets
Yeah, you
pretty
guys
rowdy.
phone me in. That's fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
call me. I'll say, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Not with 100 people. All right. Well, I've got some kittens to attend to, and it was lovely seeing you guys this
Yeah,
evening.
good talking with you, Corey.
You too. You guys have a good one.
Linda and Clint, we'll see you.
Yeah, good night.
Love
Bye,
you.
Nadine.
Good to see you.